Let's go ahead and further work on our shoes. Let's work on our shoelaces here. We could add a fabric, some kind of fabric texture here. We could go to our alpha section, which is going to be here. Just go and click on that. And we could type in fabric. Okay, I don't see it here. So we could go to the next one next to it, which is going to be the texture section. Click on here. Okay, so we actually have it on this one. So I believe that's the textures area. Okay, so we have different types of fabric we can mess around with. So you guys feel free to see which one you like. I think I want like some kind of rope like texture. So maybe this would work. So let's go ahead and create a brand new fill layer in our outfit texture set. So it's right at the top. And let's go ahead and rename it. I'm going to call it laces. And I'm going to go ahead and just set this to a black color. And then go ahead and add black mask. Right click and then add a fill. And in that fill, in the properties area, we're going to drop in one of the fabric textures here and the fabric textures that you might like. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag it onto the grayscale slot right here. And of course, it's adding it everywhere on the body, right? But it's cool to see it like that, right? You can see what's going on. And you could increase the tiling for that fabric texture. See that? And of course, we only want it on the shoelace. And if we scroll all the way up, we could even adjust the tiling here for our UV transformations. If I set this to 32, and I still don't see it on the shoelace, I think that we probably have to go back to Blender and maybe play around with the UVs for our shoelace here. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to Blender. And I'm going to go over here. And if we go ahead and select everything, press A, everything but the face and the eyes, because that's not part of our outfit, and hit the tab key here. Now we could go to our shoelace, hover our mouse over our shoelace, press L here, set it to normal, so it selects everything for the shoelace part. And also shoelace right here, press L, make sure it's at normal. And there is our shoelace right there, selecting the UVs. And we could go ahead and move that up on the side, and I think it needs to be bigger. So we have some extra space for the shoelace, so when we increase the size of the shoelace for the UVs, we could put it somewhere here. And I think also what we could do is we could rotate these. So I'm gonna go press R, 90 degrees. Same with this, R, 90 degrees. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move this here closer and select both of these, and I'm just gonna go ahead and scale it up. I think it will fit this area just nicely right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and select this and just gonna move it down. Okay, I think that'll be better. Now, if we go ahead and go to object mode, and yeah, just select everything here and re-export this, FBX, selected objects, and replace the old mesh that we have. And once again, edit, and let's go ahead and re-import the mesh. Let's see what's going on. And just wait for a bit. Okay, so you can see more or less of what we're working with here. Now we can see it. Let's go back to our outfit section. And we have to make sure that the laces here, it's only affecting the laces layers, only affecting our laces geometry here. Let's create a brand new folder. And let's go call that folder laces. And then right click, add black mask, right click, add color selection. Let's pick the color and choose, Okay, since we have adjusted our UVs for our shoelace, now we gotta make sure that we add back our vertex color. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to attribute. Okay, so the looks like the vertex color is still here, but since we adjusted the UVs, we have to rebake the ID map. So let's go over here. Yeah, we have to rebake the ID map now. So let's go to texture set. So we only have to bake the outfit texture set and just the ID. So click on bake mesh maps. For the texture set list, so we have to just let's go ahead and hide all and just actually let's go and show all. We go ahead and just uncheck all texture sets and then just click on the outfit. So we're only using the outfit, we're only baking the outfit area, okay, because it's the only thing that we have revised. And then for this one, we could go ahead and just deselect all mesh maps and then just make sure we turn on ID because we just need to bake the ID here. And let's go ahead and bake selected textures. So it's only going to bake our ID again instead of baking everything. And it will bake only for the outfit. Alright, so that was quick. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and recalculating everything. Alright, now let's go back to layers. And on the color selection, pick color. And let's choose, now we could choose that yellow color again. Okay, so color selection, pick color. Oh yeah, so now, remember, after we do that, we have to drag our laces. Let's go and call this one laces height. That's going to be for our height map. And we could drag this inside the folder. So now you could see that it's affecting only the laces part because we put it in a folder that has the masking related to the laces only, right? Okay, now we could go back and adjust our tiling for our laces height here that we've made with the fabric on there. So I'm going to adjust the tiling. Go over here, fabric. So let's go to our mask, fabric. For the tiling, I'm going to crank it up to 50. Maybe 32. Right? And then maybe I could go ahead. See what else we could do here. Maybe for this one, we go to bend, height, crank it all the way up. Maybe I could try another texture for this. Maybe I could try this one. I actually like this fabric alternate and crank it up. Then I'm gonna go to the tiling and set this to 50. Oh, I actually like this better. So I'm using the fabric alternate V. I think that's better than the first one that I had. So you guys could either mess around with either this fabric or this one. Really play around with these, okay? You don't have to do exactly the type of texture that I have chosen. But now we only need this as a height. We don't want this type of color. So let's go ahead over here and then let's go alt click on the height. And then let's go ahead and crank up the height amount. So it's just going to give us some kind of bumpiness on there. I think I'm going to go back to my fabric here. Set the tiling to a lower value, maybe 40. Alright, I think something like that. And maybe the height is a little too much. I'm going to go back here and set the height to a negative value, lower value. Maybe minus 0.3. Alright, and then we could add like some kind of color on there. let's go ahead and create a fill layer, and then let's go ahead and change the color. I think I want more of a light creamy color, something like that. And I'm gonna put laces color. Okay, so I think for the lace height it might be a little too much. I'm gonna set to -0.1 or something like that, very subtle, just enough so when you look at it from far away there's a little detail there. And I think for the color I want to maybe change it up. Yeah, maybe something like that. And I think for the actual shoe, I want to change the color of the shoe here. So I'm going to go back to my leather shoe and then change the color to more like a Timberlands type of color, I think. It's a little too much. I'm going to desaturate it slightly. And see from far away. Yeah, I think that color would work. And make it a little darker. Or something like that. Now, I only want the leathery part here, and I don't want that leathery part to go through the bottom part of the shoe here. So what we could do is we could add a vertex color just for the faces here for our geometry in Blender, so we could add a different color for this one easily. So let's go back to Blender, and I'm gonna go drag this to the left. Hit the tab key. Let's go to edge. We're gonna select all of the polygons here on both sides of the shoe. So we go ahead and select edge here, here, and here. We could also do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3. And let's go to select loops, edge ring, vertex, and then face. Great. Now let's go to the side view, Shift Z. And we can go ahead and choose our lasso tool, hold Shift, and select the rest of the faces here for our shoe. And go in front view, select the faces here, select the faces here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and select more of the faces. Okay, great. Looking all around. Select some more of the faces here also. Alright, now for the rest of these areas that didn't get selected, we could paint select, press C as in cat, and then just go ahead and paint the rest. Hit escape on your keyboard to escape the paintbrush, press C again, paint, hit escape on your keyboard, and then go back and then paint the others that have not been selected. Okay, and looking all around also here. Alright, now we go and add a vertex color to this. How do you add a vertex color to the polygons? So just go ahead and Control Tab and go to Vertex Paint. And then we could change the vertex paint color here to whatever color we want to apply on the bottom of the shoe there for the faces that we have selected. And maybe I could set it to white. Yeah, white's fine. Okay. See here. So make sure it's a color that you haven't selected yet. You haven't applied yet for the rest of the outfit. And another thing is very important. Since we want to apply it to the faces, make sure that you actually click on faces here in order for this to work. Click on faces. And then we go to paint and set vertex color. So now it have applied it right there, the vertex color at the bottom of the shoe. Now we can go Control Tab, go to Object Mode, and we have to re-export this once again. Press A. Yep, export FBX. And just go ahead and re-import that. Okay, importing. Okay, and then we have to bake the ID again for the outfit. Let's go back to the outfit area. Texture set settings. Bake mesh maps. And let's go ahead and uncheck all texture sets. Oh yeah, we already done that. Okay, so go ahead and click on outfit only and make sure you only have ID selected, and then bake, select the textures. All right, and then back to return painting here. So you could see now that we could add a different color on the bottom part of the shoe. We go to layers, and I think for the bottom part of the shoe, we could go ahead and just create a fill layer, and I'm gonna rearrange this. I'm gonna go to my letter shoe and create a fill layer on top of that letter shoe. Okay, so now we have a new fill layer. We call it shoe bottom. And for this one, I'm just gonna create a lighter color of this brown. I'm gonna go the eyedropper, sample this color, and it's gonna make it lighter. Okay, and then let's go right click, add a black mask, and then right click, add a color selection, click pick color, and then we're gonna choose just the color at the bottom of the shoe. All right, so there you go. This part is now smooth, just like how we want it. We want it to be smooth. And last thing that we need to add for our shoe is we need to add an illusion here that we have like a hole right here. Okay. And to do that, let's go ahead and go on our shoe bottom and create a fill layer on top of that. Go ahead and create a fill layer. And let's go ahead and rename this. And I'm going to call this shoe hole. And for this one, I think I'm going to make it more of a goldish color. So yeah, I'm going to go choose a gold color. Maybe a little bit more gold. Yeah. Maybe more yellowish. Yep, something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of metallic feel to this and roughness, tighten it up. And of course, we don't want it on the entire outfit, so we have to right click and add a black mask. And of course, we want to only have it on the areas where we want it to go, which is like around the shoelace where we want the laces to be inserted. So right click and add paint. Okay, so you don't want to just start painting like this, right? You don't want that. And at the same time, you know how when we are painting here, yeah, that's good and all, but it looks like it's not getting rid of the bump. We want it to be smooth, correct? We want it to be smooth. We don't want it to still have the letter-like feel of what we have here. So we are going to be using, we're only going to be using this layer as a color. And then we have to go back to our letter shoe layer here and mask out the areas where we don't want any bumpiness, any letter bump on it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and rename this layer shoe hole color. And we could go ahead and hide that for now, okay? And then we could go to our shoe letter shoe masking, okay? This is where we have our bumpiness here, okay? So we don't want any bumpiness on this area. So how do we do that? So going to our letter shoe where we have the bumpiness, then going to our color selection, just right click and go ahead and add a paint. All right, now we could go to our alpha texture area here, okay? And then we could type in circle, and we could go and scroll down. There's this thing called shape border circle on the alpha section, so we could choose that one, click on that. So now we're using that as a brush, and we have our paint here for our masking for our leather shoe. Okay, with that all set up, we also need to make sure on the properties for our paint, it's very important that for the minimum size here, we crank it all the way up. And because if we go ahead and just start clicking here, you see it just doesn't look like it's working, right? Okay, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's working. So let's go ahead and crank on the minimum size all the way up. And click here. And it looks like there's nothing showing up, right? If you press X on your keyboard, we actually have, remember, white reveals the color and black hides it. It hides the material. So if we go ahead and click here, you see what's happening. It had created that there. And as I was talking to you guys about the minimum size for the brushes, if you have this at, by default, at 5%, I think it was, and you click on it, you see how it's creating something small when it doesn't match the brush size. So just make sure for the minimum size, you crank it all the way up. So what you press and click here is what you get. All right, so now we have to go bring down our brush size. And another thing that we could do here is we don't want to see the laces as we do this, which is fine because we're going to be able to see the shadows that's been created by the ambient occlusion. So we can go to our exclude all square here, our geometry mask, and then we can go ahead and click exclude all, and then just click on the shoe. And then let's go back to our paint, and then just go ahead and click on this little eye icon right there, which will make only our shoe, whatever that we have on our geometry mask, visible. All right, now with all that done and with our paint here selected, we could go ahead and start using the ambient occlusion shadow here as a guide. I think I'm going to set this to 1.7. Click here. Might be a little too much, maybe like here. Oh yeah, one more thing, make sure you turn on, very important, symmetry. Okay, turn on symmetry, so we're doing it on both sides to make our life easier. Let's see here, you could also turn it off. Okay, this part is not even showing. Okay, yeah, so it's showing there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click here and here. What's good about this is you could erase it anytime you want. Yeah, that's good. All right, so that's all good right there. And now we could make the color for it. So remember, we have created a layer called shoe hole color. So we could go ahead and hide that one. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. All right. And same thing, we could go to our exclude all. And then just choose the, oh, not the lace. No, not the lace, but the actual shoe here, the body of the shoe. And go to our paint. And I think for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just hide this for now. I'm going to press X, I'm going to hide. Looks like I already painted something there. I'm going to mask that out. Press X. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this little eye icon. And then we could go ahead and just, with the same brush size and the same alpha, we could go ahead and bring in that metallic fill to this, that color. And also here. So you can see it's doing it on both sides. Now if you want less pixelation, I mean, it's not like it's going to show up close, so generally I wouldn't worry too much about it, but let's say you do want it to be a little cleaner, you know, you don't want a little too much pixelation, even though it's not going to show up close. It's fine. I'll show you how to do it. You go to the paint where you have made the bumpiness for this, which is going to be for the shoe leather right here and the paint right there. And we could add a blur on this paint, right click, add filter, and then we could add a blur, and we don't want it to be that blurry, so we could set it to a lower value, 0.05. All right, so something like that. You can see that it's definitely less pixelated. All right, and you could go and show everything. So I'm gonna go back to one of the paint layers that I have here, and then just turn off the visibility, the hide, ignore, excluded geometry right here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off so we see everything. All right, that's great. Our shoe is looking much better, and I think for the shoelace, maybe it looks a little too desaturated, so maybe I want to make it brighter. Maybe it could be as bright as this, about the same tone as that. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my shoelaces folder. I'm gonna go to my lace color. Okay, and for the lace color, maybe I could make it a little brighter. Okay, and maybe I could see here, laces height. That's fine. I think for the laces color, we could adjust it. All right, we could kind of mess around with the color of this by adding a adjustment levels. So we go. Okay, so on our laces color here, we could go ahead and right click and add a levels. Okay, and we could mess around with this at the slider. We drag it to the left. It is making it brighter, but it still has that grayish feel to it. All right, and I think what's causing this to be dark is the ambient occlusion. So if we go to texture set settings, so we have all of our maps here. If I go ahead and remove that ambient occlusion, so that is indeed making this black, making this darker than it's supposed to. I'm going to undo that, Control Z. We do need the ambient occlusion because it does add some nice shadows on our details here, make our stuff pop out. But it did create a dark tone on our shoelace, which is, I don't think it's too bad at all. But there is always a way to control where we want the ambient occlusion to be. You could take your ambient occlusion map in Photoshop and basically kind of paint out the area where you have your shoelaces there. But you can also adjust your ambient occlusion within Substance Painter. I think I'm going to keep this as it is for now. Later on, if I see any drastic issues related to shadows or other parts of our textures, we can go through the process of touching up our work here. But yeah, we'll do that later. But yeah, right now that is it for our shoe. And we are going to move on to the next video, adding more dirt. And I think for this part of our holster right here, yeah, the circular part there at the back, I believe that one has to be, yeah, that has to be still right here. Yeah, so this right here, we have to paint that out so that it has this same color right there, right? That's still rusty color on there. And yeah, we are gonna need to add a little bit more dirt, and later we're gonna have to add some stitches. Oh yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.